As a young citizen of India, armed with technology, knowledge, and love for my nation, with a vision of transforming India into a developed nation, I'm joining Shobhit University. What about you?
Very good morning to all the participants from India and abroad to this national webinar series on doubling farmers' income by 2022, Atmanirbhar Bharat in agriculture. Shobhit Institute of Engineering and Technology, Meerut, deemed to be university, Center for Agriculture Informatics and E-Governance Research Studies, and Center for Agribusiness and Disaster Management Studies extend greetings to all the participants from India and abroad who are attending today the national webinar series on doubling farmers' income by 2022, Atmanirbhar Bharat in agriculture. This webinar series is being hosted on every Thursday at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Today is 10th June 2021. The webinar is on the topic generating sustainable on-farm income through Fintech Interventions. On behalf of the Honorable Chancellor, Honorable Vice Chancellor, the faculty members of the university, and on my behalf, and as Professor Emeritus and Chairman of Center of Excellence, Center for Agriculture Informatics and E-Governance Research Studies, and Center for Agribusiness and Disaster Management Studies, welcome our today's guest speaker, Madam Shireesha Abhilash, Strategic Innovation Consultant and Founder Gen Z Innovations, Coimbatore, and Mr. Abhilash, serial entrepreneur and founder AgriFin and AgriTech startup Bengaluru, who will be joining very shortly. Madam, so far under this webinar series, the university has organized 30 webinars on the topic, namely, role of agricultural cooperative societies and e-governance, blockchain value chain, a self-contained village, a felt need of the day, spices informatics network value chain, lantana camera, a camouflaged treasure trove, smart hill agriculture, Mera mobile, Mera marketing, integrated mariculture, aquaponics, and precision agriculture. In short, MAPA bioforms for income revolution. Smart tribal agriculture, optimizing value chains, digital AgriTech and industry perspective, land resources information system in India present and the road ahead, weather decision technologies for increasing farm income, big data in smart farming, sustainable land and land management for climate smart agriculture, understanding market dynamics for increasing farm income, role of technologies in mitigating risk, crop risk, how to generate additional profit via simple, attractive approaches in farm produce, adoption of flexi rubber check dam technology, potential benefit for farmers in rain-fed and coastal agro ecosystems, realizing the economic benefits of agroforestry, Optasol, organic humic solutions for increasing crop yields and quality while increasing farm income and improving soil health, closing the nutrient loop, phosphorus management in protein farming, artificial intelligence enhanced, enabled pest management technology in agricultural crop protection without pesticides, empowering farmers through extension and knowledge dissemination, poultry monitoring, smart poultry monitoring solutions, agro-biodiversity, intellectual property laws, agriculture and farmers' welfare, and insight into the issues for India's agrarian economy, manufacture and application of biochar for increased soil fertility and crop productivity, Sustainable integration of livestock with agriculture for farm income increase. Role of geographical indications, GATech, on improved farmers' income. Lessons from Asia Pacific region. Dairy informatics network value chain. A dairy tech startup perspective for farmers' income increase. Spices informatics network value chain. A turmeric startup perspective for farmers' income increase. Today is the 31st edition of this national webinar series, which will be addressed by Mr. Abhilash Thirupathy and Madam Shireesha Abhilash on the topic generating sustainable on-farm income through Fintech intervention. Please note the keywords generating sustainable on-farm income and Fintech. Agriculture sector, the foundation of the Indian economy. It employs more than 50% of the India's workforce and contributes almost 17 to 18% of its GDP. At present, the agricultural livelihoods are being severely impacted world over as a result of anthropogenic global warming and climate change. India's labor-intensive and subsistence-based agriculture is particularly vulnerable to this development. Climate change has both direct and indirect effects on agricultural productivity, including changing rainfall patterns, severe drought, flood, and changes in the geographical redistribution of pests and diseases. Indian farming community comprises of about 14 crores operational holding farmers, of which 85% farmers having small and marginal size operational. Farm needs timely, location-specific, and personalized information for effective control on their production, risk, and then market their produce to identify the market opportunities. Many national level programs, namely Digital India, Make in India, Skill India, Startup India, and Stand Up India, have faced operational difficulties for its impacted farm level and farmer level, and that too at small and marginal farmers. We have reforms towards digitalization of agricultural systems in India. Doubling farmers' income by 2022 report 2018 submitted to Government of India. This report, volume 12B, with which I was associated as the chairman of this group to formulate draft report, which suggested 7 mission mode strategic recommendation for income rise through digitalization of the farming sector, which are digitalized agriculture, smart irrigated farming, smart rainfed farming, and smart hill tribal farming, digitalized agromet advisories and agricultural risk management solutions, digitalized agricultural resources information system and micro level planning for achieving smart village and smart farming, digitalized value chain for about 400 agriculture commodities, digitalized access to inputs, credits, technology, knowledge, skill, agricultural finance, marketing, agribusiness management to the farmers, digitalized integrated land and water management systems, and digitalized farm health management for reduction of farmers' loss. These 7 mission mode programs, as suggested by the Doubling Farmers' Income by 2022 Committee Report 2018, gives a lot of attractions to AgriTech startups, Agri-Fintech startups in the country. I always wish that this facilitates at least one startup in every block, that is 6,500 blocks in the country, or one in every Gram Panchayat, amounting to 2.25 lakhs AgriTech startup and Agri-Fintech startups in the country to support 14 crore farmers of the country. We have Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is the road ahead, is the mission of our Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, making India a self-reliant nation rested on 5 I's: intent, inclusion, investment, infrastructure, and innovation. This was announced on 15th May 2020 by the central government. And we also have Atmanirbhar Bharat in agriculture, which was announced during the third tranche of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, through which agriculture sector has got about 1.5 lakh crore as the booster. Now let us come back to understand agricultural finance, the need for digitalized single window service for farming community. This I quote from the paper which I presented in the national conference of State Agriculture Marketing Board held at Port Blair in November 2016. Agriculture financing helps the farmer and all stakeholders of the agriculture value chain and is an important prerequisite for agricultural growth. In India, multi-agency approach comprising of cooperative banks, scheduled commercial banks, regional rural banks, and primary agriculture credit societies facilitate credit to agriculture cooperative sector. Providing better access to institutional credit for the small and marginal farmers and other weaker sections to enable them to adopt modern technology and improved agricultural practices has been a major concern of the central government. Now there is a new brand of non-banking financial companies, NBFCs, emerged in India called agricultural NBFCs. Example, Star Agri-Watch Housing, Agriware Housing, and Collateral Management Limited, Shri Shubham Logistic Limited, Sohanlal Commodity Management, National Bulk Handling Corporation, National Collateral Management Services Limited, etc. are exploring the options. There are more than 800 microfinancial institutions in the country for offering financial support exclusively to low-income households. Borrowing for the poor section of the society still an expensive proposition. The small and marginal farmers come under this category. Most of the borrowers, from the farm sector rely on unrecognized lending sources such as money lenders. Agri lending has emerged as one of the fastest growing loan segments of commercial banks. For making information and services accessible in a convenient manner, there is a need to establish one-stop source for all the financial information and services. The concept of having a single unified interface could prove beneficial as compared to having multiple websites of different banks and financial institutions. This will facilitate the farmer from the hassles of searching across a large number of sites with a diverse design and navigation pattern to look for the desired information and services. The targeted stakeholders are as follows: Government of India, State Government, RBI, NABARD, State, District, Bank level Bankers Committee, State, Lead Development Banks, Lead Banks, Cooperative Banks, Regional Rural Banks, Agricultural Finance Corporation, Public Sector Bank, which has got more than 31,000 rural branches and about 20,000 semi-urban branches, 90,000 primary agricultural cooperative societies, 368 district cooperative credit banks with 12,858 branches, about 30 state-level cooperative banks with 953 branches, 19 state cooperative and agricultural rural development banks with 788 branches, 772 primary agriculture and rural development banks with 1,049 branches, microfinancial institutions, private sector banks, as approved by RBI, non-scheduled financial bank institutions, Mutra Bank, and self-help groups, and more than 10,000 agri-clinic, agri-business centers. The private sector banks such as S-Bank provides end-to-end financial solutions to farmers. It is required to have enabling hassle-free credit stream to the private sector of India at a reasonable cost from formal source of borrowing. According to one startup, which is Loans Grew, in 2016, in their report, it said that huge opportunity, is there for about 500 billion US dollar market untapped in the priority sector lending. According to Loans Grew, a startup in agriculture financing in 2016, said that there is a huge opportunity for about US dollar 500 billion market untapped in private sector lending. As per the figures disclosed by RBI, the market size of the priority sector in India is worth US dollar 552 billion. Out of the total industry of 552 billion, only US dollar 52 billion industry is explored. The Jantan Aadhar Mobile JAM Trinity programs and the Micro Units Development and Refinance Agency Mudra Bank, announced under Prime Minister Pradhan Mantri Jantan Yojana of the Government of India, was expected to bridge the existing gap in the financial inclusion of small and marginal farmers. In sum, Mudra Bank is an indigenously designed modern financial engine to align the non-formal financiers and informal micro business and formalize them both. Need for agricultural credit and cooperation network, digitalized network, and national database for Kisan credit card and agricultural risk insurance management in the country. Agricultural insurance is an important instrument for management of production risk. The situation becomes worse because of the currently limited coverage and inadequate access to information to the farmers and other shareholders. However, most farmers are either unaware of the existing insurance schemes or unconvinced about their utility as a risk hedging instrument. Agri-Fintech companies, unlike traditional lenders who dole out crop loans or agricultural input loans, Agri-Fintech companies focuses on specific needs of smallholder farmers and designs formal financial products that are not collateralized. It also solves working capital needs of farmer produce organization and agri SMEs to make an impact on the entire agri value chain. In the recent past, agriculture space has been the emergence of large number of fintech or technologically enabled lending firms and an increasing investor interest in them, according to a paper by Mr. Srinithy Kumar and Emmanuel Murray in Business Lines on January 21, 2021. Agri-Lending Act for Fintechs, ? Technologies such as geotagging land parcels and remote monitoring of crop status can help, but the cost of doing this while pricing farm credit is also a key factor. Credit flow to non-farm rural enterprises offers an immense opportunity. This gross estimate of the credit for MSMEs is in the order of 20 to 25 trillion as per RBI reports, although the split of this between urban and rural is unavailable. As per our estimates, less than 10% of the rural enterprises actually enjoy a credit facility of some form. This segment, if funded, has the power to unlock the latent entrepreneurial potential of the new generation young Indians in rural areas, generate jobs, and ignite rural prosperity on a scale greater than the farm sector, and is an area worth exploring by fintech, according to Mr. Emmanuel Murray and Srinithy Kumar in their paper. Budget 21 of Government of India has the agriculture credit target. It announced that agriculture credit target was increased to rupees 16.5 lakh crore from the previous years of rupees 15 lakh crore. This is expected to open opportunities for agri-fintech startups to build innovative agri-credit products and services. This Increased funding can incentivize technology startups to build specific initiatives to improve the farm to fork supply chain to boost farmer incomes and reduce food wastages. There is also a case study from Northeastern region. There is another startup in Northeastern region that's called Farm Infinity, which started in January 2020, has developed Farm Infinity, a cloud-based mobile and web digital platform to facilitate easy access to affordable financial services for about 2.5 crore smallholder farmers and agribusiness India. AgriTech startups, which refers to the use of technology and technological innovation to improve efficiency and output of agriculture, is poised to have a major impact across the world and most particularly emerging markets. I also would like to quote one article written by Sandeep Sabharwal in the Economic Times on 19 January 2021. He says that the best case scenario here would be the formation of an agri-bank which lends to agri-fintech firms with all due checks and balances and encouragement and promotion of agri-fintech companies. If cheaper credits is made available to non-banking financial institutions, just like credit is made available to NABARD, it will go a long way in increasing the viability of agri-fintech companies, which will ultimately augment the entire agri sector. I also would like to quote from the synopsis of today's guest speaker. According to their synopsis, it is well written. They say that the recent reports from the Finance Commission, high-level expert group says India's agricultural exports can hit $70 billion from $40 billion in a few years, which could create up to 10 million new jobs. In order to achieve these enhanced targets, the estimated investment could vary from $8 to $10 billion across input, infrastructure, and processing. This could increase farmer productivity and farmer income. The targets can be fostered by setting value chain clusters, which could add value from pre-production to the consumption stage of the supply chain. This webinar series topic titled Generating Sustainable On-Farm Income Through Fintech Intervention provides insights to reimagine banking to the farmers. This talk provides understanding of agriculture value chain financing in India, agriculture value chain financing in India, an approach of providing sustainable income to the farmers by providing access through digital connectivity to the farm, credit and inputs, and from the farm, produce and repayment. With this background, let me invite our guest speakers to address the participants. Before that, let me introduce our guest speaker, Mr. Manish. Madam Shireesha Abhilash is a strategic innovation consultant and the founder Gen Z Innovations based at Coimbatore. She is an innovation leader with cumulative experience of 12 years in the domain of startups, aviation, and automobile engineering. She has a proven track record of accomplishments in GE, Volvo, and Bosch. During her exposure to IoTs and industrial startups, Madam Shireesha has led cross-functional innovation workshops, boot camps, and hackathons. This also led corporate innovation programs towards establishing a collaboration between corporates and startups in order to cross-pollinate industrial innovation well ahead of the usual product life cycle, thereby reducing redundancy and increasing chances of success of startups. Madam Shireesha has exposure to the commercial aspects of artificial intelligence, IoT, industrial innovation startups, and thereby developed a clear understanding of the importance of networking and collaboration, ever so vital to the financial success of startups. Let me also introduce Mr. Abhilash Thirupathy. He will also joining, after a talk. He is the founder of AgriFin, an AgriTech startup based at Bengaluru. He is a serial entrepreneur with cumulative experience of 13 years in the domain of startups. Currently, he is the founder of AgriFi, an Agri-Fintech company, providing a data-driven platform, bringing all partners together to create a sustainable solution for farmers or farmer produce organization. All credible farmers, farmer produce organization will have a seamless access to financing, inputs, buyers, and advisory solutions at their doorstep. Previously, Mr. Abhilash was the co-founder at Healthcare Magic, which was acquired in 2014 by Nasdaq listed firm for rupees $18 million, and he followed this up with Gold Farm, a company in the AgriTech space, which created India's first Uber for farm equipment model across 3 states in South India. With this, we welcome both Mr. Abhilash Thirupathy and Madam Shireesha to this national webinar series on doubling farmers' income by 2022, Atmanirbhar Bharat in agriculture, to talk on the topic generating sustainable on-farm income through Fintech Intervention. Over to Madam Shireesha.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, sir. That's a warm welcome from your side. As sir has introduced many concepts which are like leading in the current challenges for the farmers, let's see some of the key concepts how this fintech interventions can generate sustainable on-farm income, and which in turn can help our doubling farmers' income. Let me share from my side.
Is there any problem?
No. I will just share from my side the screen.
It is not visible.
Yeah. Yes. I think it's visible now.
It's okay, fine. Enlarge it. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, super. So hope though all of you are doing fine in this pandemic, but if you see in this pandemic, though everything has got reduced, one thing was sustaining the same, and in fact the need for that has increased. Yes, that is sustainable food. Everyone is looking forward for the sustainable food, as the emphasis on doubling, they have given us food in all these pandemic days, and it has given us like the immunity, whatever it could be. So let's focus on how we can, as a startup community and as a academia, whoever it could be, who are like enthusiastic towards farmers, let's see how we can contribute to our fellow farmers in doubling their income. But according to India, it is by 2022, but there are like certain areas which has to be real is the agri-fintech companies and startups. Let me Manish, is my screen visible properly at your end?
Now it is not visible. Ma'am, can I present on behalf of you?
Yeah, that could be better, I suppose. Let me
Okay.
give a one last try.
So let Anish present it, and Madam, you speak.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So the finance
No,
sector
this is
has
you go to the slide. Go to the slide show.
sorry, I'm taking time to do this.
Let us then let manage. Okay. Okay. Good.
Okay. So main topics for this webinar we would like to discuss are like sir was mentioning agri-value chain finance in India. We should really look into how this value chain can be helped at each and every point of the value chain. How this finance can topic we would like to discuss are like gaps in agri-finance and driving us through its
Just
journey.
1 minute,
You
Madam.
are
That
it's like
you
great
have
opportunity
just
for
1 minute.
future of agri-fintech in digital world in the coming up the where we are all enthusiastic about discussing. So let's enter into agri-value chain financing in India. If you see agri-value financing, it's like not a single topic. There are like value chain has got enormous actors present in the entire value chain, and when financing comes into the picture, it is like it right from pre-production state to the post-production state. There is the intervention of finance which is pretty much needed for the farmer, who could end up in reducing the interest that he is paying with the conventional system of finance, right? So let us, before entering into what is agri value chain finances, let us understand the statistics in agriculture as of now. So when you see the agriculture, we have like our primary occupation of agriculture is our primary occupation in India is agriculture. Around 58% of the people are depending on the agriculture. And if you see, but still there is only 18% of GDP in the contribution by agriculture. Of course, with this pandemic, like in manufacturing areas and when you see the servicing sector, all the sectors have shown declination, but only sector which has contributed the positive number to our GDP in spite of this pandemic is agriculture. But still, there is a lot more area where we need to investigate how we can contribute to the current scenario of our GDP, where our agriculture can be a wealthier occupation for each and every person who is working towards it. If you see the farmer's profile, this is how it looks. Like if you can see around 62 plus 19, around 82% of the farmers are comes under small and marginal, correct? So remaining are like semi medium, medium and large. The definition is given here. So this 82% of the farmers are still not availing any of the schemes that government has given. Though recently, like PM has mentioned in one of the press conferences that he has given around 3 trillion revenue as a fund for the farmers. But what's happening? It's not reaching marginal and small farmers. This is because banks are not are reluctant to offer the loans to marginal and small because of heavy investigation of the backgrounds and the checks and the paperwork. All those things are making the small and marginal farmers to go towards the money lenders. So this is the current scenario of agriculture in India. Going forward, the main thing which was just hiding behind in the consumer sector is agri-fintech, mainly fintech, I should say. Yeah, but consumer, it has got a great role to play for contributing to our farmers in agri sector as well. So that is how this agri-finance has taken its own prominent place in developing the days as well as doubling the which can provide the sustainable income for farmers, right? So when we see how the is getting the finance from the people from till certain, like before independence, most of us were like money lenders and most of the farmers were depending on the money lenders, landlords and others. This were taking them to take all very drastic decisions of either, you might have heard in the news, like a lot of suicidal births and others, which are like great laws. They are the base of India. Still, they are undergoing a great pain. They are providing the wealth to the entire country. We'll see how exactly we can play our own role, being the educators, being the startup community members. We'll see how we can contribute our technology, which is growing in an exponential manner, and how it can be aligned to the sector in this agri-finance system. So if you see here, there are two types of sources mainly for agricultural credit: non-institutional and institutional sources. Right? So non-institutional sources, they comes under money lender and landlords. And as I have uh, quoted here, they have got the merits and as well as they are easy to access, but they are giving like for exorbitant come in between the government and corporate banks and other financial institutions. This played a very connecting a lot of farmers to the government of India and RBI. So this is played through commercial banks, cooperative credit societies, and whereas recently you might have heard, a lot of us might have heard about NBFCs, correct? Non-bank financial institutions. These NBFCs have got changes and which are like they are enabling a great growth in the agri sector, finance to the customer to farmers, aggregators, traders, processors. So all can act as anchors which can provide the finance, timely finance for the farmers, right from pre-production stage to the post-production stage. Farmers. So you can see here, bank and cooperative societies, they are
Just 1 minute. Just 1 minute.
other areas are still less. Yeah. Yes, sir.
We welcome Mr. Abhilash, who is joined. And there is some internet bandwidth problem. Can we make the presentation from Mr. Manish so that you only will be able to speak from your side? Will it be all right? Because a lot of disturbance is taking place that, so that let us have from your side the bandwidth problem can be eased out.
Okay, fine, sir. No issues. I can stop
Mr.
from
Manish,
my
can
side.
you present from your side her presentation so that she'll be in a position to speak? Mr. Manish? Mr. Manish?
Sir, I started from my side.
Okay, okay. Please carry on. Okay, madam, you can speak.
Yeah. So yeah, so the source wise access to credit for farmers, right? So we have been provided like 11 lakh crore has been allocated under agriculture sector, but still only 20% of the smallholder farmers are availing. The rest are only large farmers who has got 2 hectares. So where are all this? What are the gaps that we need to Manish, you will share still?
Manish? So Manish? Hello? Mr. Manish?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Share now.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Can you go to the next slide, Manish?
No, Mr. Manish, you don't disturb. You know, your cursor is moving from various places that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So only 30% of the farmers borrow from the formal bus, right? Whereas 50% still struggle. So why are they? Why is there a gap where we really need to involve and work on it, right? So when we see the small and marginal farmers, there are like 124 millions, but only 36 million can borrow from the formal sources. Still 100 million people are victims for exorbitant interest rates that are being taken up from money lenders or other sources which are not non-institutional. These are the areas where we really need to address in order to take up our GDP contribution from small and marginal farmers, right? So let's move on to the next. Can we move on to the next slide? Yeah. So who are all the main stakeholders in the ecosystem around farmer financing? There is like farmer is with technology, data, which is financial solution. So there are a lot of stakeholders. The whole ecosystem is filled with a lot of stakeholders, right from the industry side to the which is from pre-production, the post-production, the entire value chain. Stakeholders are around the farmer. So this is how the entire distribution is being. The entire stakeholders ecosystem is being distributed around the farmer. Let's see how each and every stakeholder can contribute to the farmer's upliftment. Yeah, moving on to the next slide. Here is the agri value chain financing in India. So when you see the three horizontals, the first is financial service institutions, value chain actors, and support services. Financial services banks, as we have discussed, there are NBFCs, private investors, corporates, and local communities. And if you see the agri value chain system from the pre-production, it involves the input suppliers, farmers, processing and distribution, market, and consumers. The whole chain. What is value chain financing? The main definition itself is like financing at each and every point of a value chain. Okay, each and helping the actors at each and every point of the value chain to work towards their credit, and for the repayment will be so easier if the financing will be intervened with each and every area of the chain. Services, yes, they also play a very important role, providing them the technical trainings, business trainings, specialized services, and government certification gradings, etc. So these are all stakeholders who are around the farmers in providing their own benefit to the customers. Moving on to the next slide. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Yeah, as I mentioned, nowadays this NBFC has become a leader in the game in the entire agri-finance ecosystem. India is going to be like a 5 trillion economy. So to make this globally a 5 trillion economy, where we are going to move from 7th position to 3rd position, the growth of agriculture sector is like very much prominent, right? And despite of the central role, the primary occupation, despite being agriculture, why are we in the poor state? Why are we not able to contribute to our utmost possible to the GDP in terms of these are because of some of the gaps, like we discussed, money lenders, and others and collaterals. As we said, since there is a lot of paperwork and stuff involved with the small and marginal farmers, they will tend to go to financial institutions to get the money at the exorbitant interest rates. Then distress decisions, having they got from the non-commercial money lenders, they are prone to sell off their land to repay the loans, correct? So these are all the distress decisions that the farmers takes up when he is under the pressure of repayment. And indebtedness of farmers, it's a pertinent issue. This may lead to a very drastic decisions that the farmer is taking in the tough times. Moving on to the next slide. So how this NBFCs, they are really game changers, because these can be accessible. They are playing a very important role in the farm sector, and they are able to elevate they're helping in elevation of rural and agricultural distress. So this is a new breed of non-banking financial companies. How they provide the agricultural credit and what are the benefits of NBFCs? Let's move on to the next slide. So if you see the benefits when we compared with our corporate banks and other banks which are providing the finance, the main benefit of based NBFCs is it is easier access, because there are in the value chain between the NBFC and farmers, there are all other companies. One of the companies is like AgriFi, which we will be talking about our structure of the company in the next few minutes. So it's a very easy to access and fast and affordable credit. Yes, they will provide timely credit within few days, right from their pre-production stage to the post-production stage, and hassle-free no lot of paperwork, and you have got a lot of for the community where they are helping the farmers to fill the to get the KYC with a minimum paperwork, right? So all these three are the areas where Agri NBFC is playing its major role, and it is creating a niche for themselves in lending, and success of agriculture is mainly going to happen because of the time BFC other financial institutions. So this will definitely diminish the farmer's reliance on the money lenders, which will eventually lead to the farmer getting caught in the web of this money lenders and other non-financial institutions. Going on to the next slide. Can we move to the next slide? Yeah. So if you see the agri-tech, okay, we have seen the gaps, we have seen the statistics of the agriculture and agri-finance. So how this agri-tech startups are playing their own role in uplifting the small and marginal farmers. The main focus is on small and marginal farmers, because if you see the farmer profile, around 80% of the farmers are having the land less than 2 hectares, and they are struggling a lot in getting the finance at the time in the timely manner. And if you see this agri-tech startup, we have around 300 and 3,100 sir was mentioning in the introduction. Startup is there at each and every grassroots. Go to startups. Imagine if there are 2 around the farmer who's helping in all scenarios in the value chain management. It is like they are the farmer is the king of our entire ecosystem, correct? So he will really relish the outcome of his production, right? So this 3,116 startups as of now, they are of course growing exponentially with 25 to 30% growth in the number of startups year by year. And if you also see the funding, it is like according to the data labs, the funding $244.6 million in 2019. So it has increased like 350% compared to the previous years. And if you see the startups, they are mainly under subsectors in the agri sector, agri-finance, agri-inputs marketplace, outputs, livestock. So there are three areas where we really look into, like pre-production, production, and most of them are just taking up some of the chunks in the value chain, but the entire value chain. This is the area which has really role to the entire value chain. Now, from the start, let's see what can we so shall we see the challenges of agri-finance, Manish? Next slide. Yeah. So challenges in agri-finance from the startup perspective. So there are various areas still there is a gap that has to be taken care. One, limited funding for early stage edtechs. Yes, they're getting fund for the early stage agri-techs is really difficult because it is high risk person investors, and there is also lack of leverage, so need for a credit guarantee, which that is why most of the people will take the back step thinking that the entire castle may get demolished. So these are the things which will enable the challenge in limited funding for the early stage agri-techs. Next, moving on to the collaborations with the industry players and banks. Yes, this is also a friction between industry players and banks, because banks have got adjusted to their stereotypic way of working, right? There is a lot of mismatch of expectations. They feel that their staff are good at collecting the data and analyzing the data, whereas there are a lot of other technological upliftments happening. Technology is getting builded where the data is being analyzed, and AML is being synchronized to that data and coming out with a very processed suggestions for the customers. But still, the partnership with the banks is like a nightmare. So there is a contrasting viewpoints when we see between the offerings and the potential of the agri-techs. So this is one of the challenges that agri-tech startups are facing, especially in the agri-finance. Next comes limited availability of agri data and access to it. Yes, though we are like from million years ago, agriculture is the primary occupation in our country, but still lots and lots of data is being missed. What happened to all the data? If that data is provided, the government has got that data, of course, but it is like very reluctant to provide for the agri-tech startups to test their models on that data. So there is a difficulty in accessing that reliable agri data from the government, from the place where government owns, right? And there is the next thing is, the agri-tech startups, since there is no data, they have to spend enormous amount of time and resources to gather the data from the farm. They really should enter into the farm, speak to the current farmers, understand the pattern of the data that they are collecting, and come out with the decisions. This is like time consuming, money consuming. Everything is happening in the early stage of especially the financial agri-techs, in spite of less amount of funds being provided at this stage. So only few states have got digitalized land records, but most of the, I think around 20% of the Indian farmers have registered in a, where the data is provided in a format, software format. But still, what happened to the all other data? So there is a limited availability of this data. Then comes challenges at the farmers level. Yes, this is a great adoption barrier. If a startup is coming out with a technology, it is high cost to acquire for small and marginal farmers, right? So this adopting to the smartphones and internet penetration, access to the internet, these are all challenges. Even if we can see, even in towns, or also there are still some challenges with the internet, as we have seen just now with our presentation. So still this has to be taken care from the remote villages as well. And digital payment, only now the current generation is using this digital payment, but still its penetration is needed. So from the technology front, these are the few adoption barriers that the agri-tech startup has to take care in making the farmers adopt the new technology in their farming. Yeah. So how this agri-tech startups are playing its role? Manish, can we move to the next slide? Yeah. So when we see how these agri-tech startups are playing its own role in spite of the challenges from all the front, from the government front, from the investors front, but they have the hunger. These agri-tech startups they have the hunger to contribute from their side for the upliftment of the wealthy occupation that is emerged down in India particularly. So what they do, especially this in the agri-finance, they are trying to streamline the process right from credit origination to the recovery stage. So in the entire process, they feel like the agri fintech companies, they would like to streamline the process. The next is digitization. This is going forward, we are going to live in a digital world, right? So unless the data is not present, people cannot work. So now this is the right time for us to lift our small and marginal farmers who contribute to our Indian GDP, to make everything get digitized. So startups are playing their own role in getting the access to this data, and maintaining the records throughout the supply chain, and integrating with the financing solutions. As we have discussed, the entire value chain should be under the umbrella of finance at each and every point for the success of the output, right? Then comes creation of a, yeah, this is like ultimate important, creating a agri stack, right? This for sure is going to rule in coming days in the digital world. Agri stack, it is like a one platform, single unified digital agri database, where you can enable financing for small, and it improves the existing farm lending process, and ultimately it can enable the financing for the small and marginal farmers. What is this agri stack? As one stop, what is this agri stack? I won't take much time on this, but let me introduce to some of the key concepts of agri stack. AgriStack has got all the technology involved in it, and it will create mainly four groups like Innovator Group, Financial Institution Group, Pilot Development Group, and Build Data and History around the agri value chain. Okay, so Innovator Group, what this group does, they are mainly focusing on innovating the processes, automating the processes, and seeing how the customer, who is our farmer, is able to adopt this new processes. So these, the Innovator Group will contribute their ideas for the AgriStack. Then comes Financial Institution Group. What this Financial Institution Group? Yeah, as you have assumed, it's a group of financial institutions which will help in contributing in helping the farmer from the finance, right from the starting to the end of the value chain. And Pilot Development Group, yes, we need a field, right? AgriStack is like a software, garbage in, garbage out. So we need a place where we can check our model, understand whether it is meeting the real, it is giving the real value that we have proposed to the farmer. So we need a pilot development group to check our entire software system, which is being provided, which is getting a data in and getting out with the right data, right processed information. Then comes build data and history. Yes, this is ultimately a great start point for the AgriStack. So at each and every point of the value chain, the AgriStack can take the data, analyze it, and keep the history for the future decision making. So these are the few roles that AgriTech Finance is playing, AgriTechs are playing in the agri-financing sector. Moving on to the next slide. So yeah, so now I will request Abhilash to walk us through our AgriFi profile and how our journey started with our agri-fintech startup AgriFi. Moving on to Abhilash. Thank you.
Mr. Abhilash, we welcome you to address the National Webinar Series. Mr. Abhilash.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me, Doctor? Is my voice clear?
Is very clear.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for inviting us, giving us an opportunity to be part of this unique forum. So I'm just going to do a screen share now. Please let me know if my screen is visible. Is my screen visible, Professor?
Yes, visible. Yes.
Yeah. So what we're doing at AgriFi is we're trying to reimagine banking for farmers. As Shireesha explained, there is a lot of challenges with respect to access to credit for farmers in general and for various players in the agri ecosystem. And obviously, it's a big problem to solve, and we can't solve it all at once. So we had to start somewhere. And we thought the best way to do it will be to start by reimagining, banking for farmers, and that's how we launched AgriFi. So, what is AgriFi? AgriFi is a credit card for farmers, which gives farmers access to timely credit to purchase seeds, inputs, and make balloon repayments through the sale of produce. When you think of a credit card, you obviously think of a smart card, and eventually it will become a smart card. But today we've launched a simple credit line for farmers, which gives them access to buy all of this and make balloon repayments. So it's a very, very novel concept, not tried so far. And why did we choose to work here is because in the last few years, India has seen several startups entering agri-tech space and solving various farmer problems like marketplace, market linkage, agri-input e-commerce, precision farming, geospatial imagery, and advisory, whereas very few are focusing on the core problem of farmers, which is access to credit and cash flow, like Samanati, like Jekisan, like Samaru. And we think that the space is large enough where, we can build the next unicorn there, right? So digging a little bit deeper, some of the problems with respect to access to credit in the agri ecosystem is linked to data and documentation, cash flow, and uncertainty, where banks want data, but farmers don't have data. Banks want documents, and farmers don't have documents. Banks want monthly payments, whereas farmers can do only balloon repayments. And most importantly, banks cannot tell a farmer within what time frame they can provide a loan, whereas farmers need timely credit based on a fixed crop calendar. And this is some of the reasons why only 30% of all farmers in India are able to borrow from formal sources, whereas 50% struggle to borrow from any source, right? We believe that this is a large market size, very large opportunity with no pan-India players, and there is a lot of diversion of credit, where a farmer gets credit, but he is not able to use it for agriculture and probably ends up using it for something else, right? So this is how a farmer accesses credit today. He does not know whether he will get a loan from a bank, and he ends up getting credit from either a trader who buys produce from him, or an input retailer who sells him seeds, pesticides, fertilizers, right? And the challenges with the existing system is that there is a very high interest rate, and there is a lock-in, where if the farmer gets credit from a retailer, he is expected to buy only from the retailer. If a farmer gets credit from a trader, then he is expected to sell his produce to the farmer, to the trader. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to build a system which uses these intermediaries to provide credit to the farmers. And that's the solution that we thought of, where we use these traders or retailers to underwrite the farmers and provide them with a credit limit that can be used to buy seeds, fertilizers, access services like labor, mechanization, and logistics to cultivate the crop. And once they harvest the produce, they sell the produce back to the anchor, and we get paid by the trader on behalf of the farmer, and the farmer gets the balance amount once the credit amount that is due to us has been paid. So in essence, we provide credit to a farmer through a trader. The farmer, when he sells his produce back to the trader, we get paid whatever money is owed by the farmer to us, and the balance is paid to the farmer. Uh, uh, our journey started in sometime in October of 2019, where we tested this idea with 3 farmers, the exceptional results, and AgriFi was born in June 2020. And we launched the product with about 75 farmers across 2 geographies, tied up with 3 NBFCs. The pilot was completed successfully, and we are now, expanding the team, right? So this is a quick recap on, how we are identifying an opportunity in the access to credit space being a very, very important challenge that a farmer faces in ensuring that he's got a sustainable income, sustainable on-farm income for him. So by solving the cash flow issues of a farmer, we feel that fintech is the need of the hour to help a farmer manage his cash flows better, do agriculture in a planned fashion, and ensure that at the end of the day he's having enough income to take care of his needs. Right? I think fintech has got a much larger responsibility, where this is the first step. Eventually, we should be able to guide the farmer on how he can manage his savings, how he can take care of unforeseen circumstances, like, let's say, a crop loss because of drought or various conditions, by taking the right insurance products and ensuring that he is covered. It is a long journey. And it's a very large market, so one AgriFi will not be enough. We'll probably need about 50 companies or 100 companies working at scale to ensure that the entire market is covered. But we think that this is a step in the right direction to address sustainable on-farm income for a farmer through fintech interventions. Right? Thank you. I'll be glad to take any questions, Professor, or from anybody if they can.
Yeah, Mr. Manish, if there are any queries, you can flash it. Otherwise, I will request the Chancellor to join. Okay. Hello.
Sir,
Yes, we can
ma'am
hear you,
presentation
Professor.
was, I think, not completed. If ma'am want to complete the presentation, we can.
Okay, fine, fine. Madam, you would like to continue? Yes.
Thank you, Professor.
Yeah, I'll share from my end itself. Yeah, so future of agri-fintech in the digital world. As Abhilash is saying, one AgriFi is not enough, right? We need a lot many areas, and like also Sir said, we need around 2 lakh of AgriTech startups which can help farmer at each and every stage. So going forward, how this AgriFintech is going to be in the digital world? Of course, technology is evolving very rapidly, and it's opening up new possibilities to target and price and credit the farmer at each and every stage. And also it is helping us to share the risk in the entire agri value chain. When we have seen so many stakeholders around the farmer, if the risk is being shared uniformly, or I mean with a weight with all the stakeholders, the entire impact won't be there on the farmer. So there is a role of financial technology that has to drive with new products, like it has to come out with new insurance products, credit, and the risk market, mainly risk mitigation is very important in this agri-finance value chain system. So when we examine, there is a linkage with mobile financial literacy, and of course let's see what are all the other technology stacks that will help us in going forward to make the digital agri sector going forward in the coming era. So this digital economy can be made inclusive by integrating the farmers as well, because most of the times we are aligning our technology either to the industry 4.0 or other sectors. Of course it is needed for the other sectors, and at the same time we also should include our agri sector. So what are the technologies that can help us going forward into this digital world around agri finance? AML, yes, artificial intelligence and machine learning, it is going to play a very prominent role in coming out with understanding the data, fitting the algorithms, and coming out with the right suggestion and recommendation for the farmer upfront. Mobile and web applications, yes, they are also going to play a major role, because going forward in the digital world, the main players will be like mobiles and other applications, where farmer has to really get penetrated, and agri-tech startups can play their own role for this penetration. Added to this, the two other areas which are going to be prominent in this digital world with respect to the data are like, yes, the data security is needed, because entire transaction in the value chain is going to happen through going to happen virtually, right? And then blockchain, yes, blockchain is a technology which is going to change the entire ecosystem and making the farmer secured with his data and information without being shared all the way in the value chain system. So especially this middleman and other stakeholders which are like time consuming could be avoided. So these are the various technology areas which will play its main role in the agri-finance. Coming to the digital agri-financial services, yes, going forward, everything is going to be digital. So there will be one cloud-based technology which will be connected to the mobiles and other web platforms, and there will be a cross information exchange between this platform and the mobiles. And this will make a very easy to understand the credit worthy of a farmer as well, because the entire data is being managed in the cloud based, and it would be very easy for understanding the credit success rate of a farmer, understanding the CIBIL score, writing the doing the underwritings of the farmer. So all these processes which are involved in the credit will become automated with all this technology, right? And of course with having the credit worthy analyzed through this cloud based, it would be easier for getting the partnership with other industry partners who are like banks in this case. So this is how the digital agri financial services is going to be in the coming up generation of agri sector. How is this? What are the other modules in the digital agri financial service which will really help us in understanding what really makes a change in the digital agri finance? One is yeah. So one is agricultural credit system, right? So agricultural credit it's like a virtual credit card. There is no need for any of the paperwork that a farmer has to do. It will be, everything will be virtual, and it can be availed, he can be able to avail in an instant and timely manner. He'll be able to purchase the inputs with his virtual credit card. This will be like points in his credit cards. Based upon his purchase and credit, the points will be varying. So this is how the digital world has to be going forward. It also will cover all his working capital, the operational cost during his harvest time, and the assessment of the cost. And moreover, he will be able to understand and record his transactions and understand the crop, how he is going to his journey from pre-production stage to the post-production stage. Added to this, of course, e-warehousing also will be coming, will be there in future, which will help the farmer in understanding his storage history, and aligned with AML will give him a right decision when to go to the market, and the market rates, brand values, all these things he will be able to access through his mobile or in any web applications. Going on to the next product, the next module, insurance. Yes, insurance also play a major role in this agri finance, and going forward in the digital world, we need to get the insurance. There is an insurance index, right? So this, of course, though it is evolving for past few years, but the demand is very less, the penetration is very less. So we have, going forward, for sure this insurance index will come again, which will make the risk mitigation will be very easy through insurance index, because you will be able to understand how your weather is going to be, what kind of crop will yield you a better result, and the entire transactions will be through mobile. So this will help even the insurance company to have a track of the farmer and also understand his credit worthiness, right? So this will mainly reduce the impact for crop failures and the other livestock illnesses. So going forward to the next module, payments. Yes, every payment is going to be through the mobile e-transaction, and smallholder farmers are the customers for the digital payment through, like I said, each and every person, like in agri-finance, when you have seen this is AgriFi in our company, when you see the structure through anchors, we are reaching the farmers. So anchors will help the small and marginal farmers to take up the data from them and digitalize it for the future use. So this is how the services, digital payment services, can provide data access for this, for some of the small and marginal farmers. So it's not necessary that farmers should know everything about the technology. There are lots and lots of people in our ecosystem which can help them to have the gradual penetration of this technology into the farmers. Added to this, there would be like electronic vouchers also coming up. With these vouchers, he'll be able to purchase his inputs at a considerable amount, and there is a lot of scope for scale also in this area. So when you see this payment modes, again, this is another sector where it is just evolving. We are getting lots and lots of payment modes nowadays, being everything being taken place virtually, right? So there could be some new platforms may develop where the entire organization will be on the same platform, and they'll be able to analyze their transactions at one click. Next comes set aside savings. As we were discussing, this is going to be a virtual credit card, and of course, aligning this with the blockchain, it will help you even to set aside the savings. With this credit card, you may be able to do some transactions. Could be a mutual funds or any of that sort. So this will give you a all the time credit card where you can use and set aside some savings along with your actual journey of agriculture. So this is like integrated transaction control system, which will help the traders and the farmers to also look into their saving side. Of course, policies, yes, regulation and protection considerations. Yes, there are like lot of perceptions, like speculations from the farmer side, like recently in Bihar and other areas where there is a lot of pressure, thinking of the farmers coming out saying that all our data is going to get privatized. Then how it is going to get secured? So the trust factor is like becoming zero when it comes to the current scenarios in the data. So this data has to be secured in a very as a data securing using the blockchain will give you a great confidence for the customers. Of course, customers may not understand, but it is our duty to tell to the farmers how their data is going to be secured, where there is no money laundering, no terrorism, a lot of other areas where there is a malpractice of the data, usage of the data can take place. So all these are the other modules that will be really looked into in the coming areas, where everything is going to get digitalized. Yeah, so to summarize, so we have got, these are the requests from our side. So these are the requests from our side going forward. We as a community, how we can work together for the upliftment of the small and marginal farmers, especially in the agri-finance sector. So we need to focus mainly on building the platform and provide the catalytic. We need a catalytic support. Government has to support with its data. It has to trust even agri-tech startups, where we can be able to access to the data, and we can help the entire value chain from the origination to the collection. So agri-tech startups also can help the entire process to be streamlined. This can happen only with the catalytic support of government, academia, industry, right from early stage to the late stage. Then comes facilitating the innovative finance models. Yes, as I told, there is the main challenge for this agri-tech startups is like investments and the trust factor mainly. So there is a strong request, like all these financial models, through the credit guarantee and FLDG, like uh, yeah. So through this credit guarantee system, one should trust each stakeholder in the value chain system, and we should work towards the repayment action as well, because that is where the most of the investors are taking the step back in investing this type of startups. Then comes develop pilots and case studies. Yes, we have to create the knowledge collateral for the policy reformers. Unless the policy changes happens, we cannot intervene with the financial innovative ideas into our agri value chain. So these are the few requests from our side going forward for the support towards agri-tech startups. Hope the concepts and the information that we have shared with you has helped uh, who and all are present in this forum, and we will be glad to take up any questions offline as well. So thank you from my side for providing this great opportunity. Thanks especially to Moni sir and Shobhit University. This is like a great forum for all of us to communicate with the like-minded people, and going forward to this is like mutual help, and the entire ecosystem should keep hand in hand to take the farmers upliftment, and this will ultimately lead for our government growth in we will be like a food baskets for there won't be any surprise if India is like a food basket globally for all the people. Hoping for that day to come soon, and hoping that farmer will really feel like he's the king of the entire agri-tech ecosystem. We all will keep our hands together and uplift our fellow beings. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir, for providing this opportunity.
Thank you very much for both Mr. Abhilash and Madam Shireesha. It is a very important presentation, discussion from both of you who are the veterans in this field. And I have been, working in this area for more than 10 to 15 years. And how to bring in agri-finance, a digitalized agri-finance to the farmers. That's why in my introduction, I also mentioned and also has been able to get into the recommendation of the Doubling Farmers' Income by 2022 committee report that digitalized, agricultural input, credit, finance, logistic, and so on and so forth. It is one of the very major recommendations of the Doubling Farmers' Income Committee report submitted to the Government of India in 2018. And today, through your presentation, that creating sustainable on-farm income through fintech intervention, both of you have given a very good model which can be operationalized, even though there are some case models which are working, but the arguments, the requirements, the necessity which you have built up during this presentation by both of you are needed to be worked out, needed to be supported. That's why from the university, from the Center of Center for Agricultural Informatics and E-Government Research Studies, and Center for Agribusiness and Disaster Management Studies, through this national webinar series, we try to promote and involve the startups working in different disciplines. Today, as far as this is concerned, that as rightly told by Mr. Abhilash, as well as also Madam Shireesha, that you have covered a complete agri value chain finance. In what type of agriculture value chain is existing in financial, the financial requirement for a farmer, and where this, how they are being forced to go to the money lenders, and how through this technology and AgriFintech, these farmers, 14 crore farmers can be facilitated. And I also said it very nicely in my introduction that how NABARD has been created in 1980s to give the credits to more than 1 lakh primary agriculture credit societies. Now, as per the article written by some two articles which I quoted, that is needed to be an agricultural bank. Now, all the agriculture scheduled banks, nationalized banks, they got an agriculture priority sector lending. Each one were looking as a one sector. Now, what is needed today in India is that, as rightly said it, there has to be an agricultural bank, has to give appropriate credit to the agri-fintech companies. This is what is needed, and through the the formalization of operationalization of technology companies in agri-fintech will facilitate, as I rightly said it, that the country needs one agri-finance tech startups in every gram panchayat. It means that the India needs about something like 2.35 lakhs, 2.25 lakhs, agri-fintech startups needed in the country to support 14 crore farmers. You also very nicely said it that There are a lot of startups. They are all growth enablers in your presentation. You said it there about something like 3,116 startups in the food and agricultural sector during the last 5 years. There are, agri input sector, agri output sector, and farm management, data analytics, and mechanization, and livestock management, and agri fintech is now picking up in a very important manner. And you also talked about ecosystems around farmer financing. It's very important. And also, you also brought it out that 82% of the farming community are not availing government schemes. That is a very important things to note it. And also you mentioned that banks are reluctant to provide credit and finance in the time in which the farmer wants it. And this is an important parameters which you also talked about. Both of you also brought it challenges in agri-finance from the startup perspective. This also is very important. You also mentioned about limited funding for early stage during the early stage of AgriTech. Collaboration with industry players and banks is a problem, and limited availability of agricultural data and making accessible to the farm, and having access to it, and challenges at the farmers level. These four are the challenges have to be overcome. It is essential and to provide services to the farmers. Then also I talked about the role of agri-tech startups and in agri-financing, and you say that streamlining process, digitalization, creation of a simple digital agri database, agri-stack, and also developing agri-stack as a one-stop solutions for banking and agri-finance credit levels, and why to focus on farmers credit. And you also about anger driven model, and I also talked about how the digital technology like artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain technology, data security can facilitate tech startup very effectively. And this is an important thing that you brought it out in your presentation. And also the important point which you have mentioned is that digital economy cannot be made inclusive without integrating farmers into it. This is the one which everybody has to note it out. So if India has to achieve digital economy, it cannot be made inclusive without integrating farmers into it. So farmer has to be inclusive. And I also said it that digital agriculture financial services, it includes cloud-based technology platform, agriculture credit card as a visual credit card. It includes the component of insurance, payments, and set aside savings, and regulations and protection considerations. So it comfort zone to the farmers. And very nicely said it that we have to develop pilots, and we have to have a case studies, and we should facilitate innovations through financing model, and we have to build the platform. We'll be very happy to have your association with the university, with the Center for Agricultural Informatics, E-Governance Research Studies, and Center for Agribusiness and Disaster Management Studies to promote agri-fintech startups. In the state of Uttar Pradesh, or in the northern part of India, or in northeastern part of India, or in any parts of India, because university also works with a lot of NGOs to promote services to the farmers. And also we undertake training programs, and it will be very nice that, because to facilitate agri-fintech startups, it needs a technology platform. It means that whoever wants to get into this technology platform have to understand the technology. People like you who are working in this tech startups in a very effective manner with the technology inclusion, it has to be involved. People like you have to be involved in even conducting some sort of these training programs, maybe certification programs, maybe diploma program, to even to develop startups, because the country needs at least one agri startup, tech startups in every gram panchayat, and it is to work for about something like 5,000 or 6,000 farmers in the country. So skill and entrepreneurship development in agri-tech startups is very important. And insurance is another area which is now getting into village level. That also the Doubling Farmers Income Committee report talks about that how to have a digitalized agricultural risk management system at the village level. So these two things, if we can put together, there's a lot of opportunity, and we are very happy that both of you were able to find time to participate in this program. And even though initially we had internet access problems, but your presentations are it's very apt, and also that your discussions, and it is I would like to thank from my bottom of my heart to both of you to participate in this program and talked about that how to generate sustainable on-farm income through fintech interventions. And it is as a former director general who are involved in introducing information technology in agriculture. I started working in 1985 to having 28 sectoral components in the district level, which has been the working for computerization in 512 districts during Mr. Rajiv Gandhi's period when he was the prime minister. And in 95 we started through a big conference in Vigyan Bhavan for a national conference on informatics for sustainable agriculture development, which has given an IT blueprint for IT in agriculture. We operationalized it, and 15 informatics network. And then towards after my retirement in May 2013, afterwards I joined this university to promote IT in agriculture in a big manner. That's why we set up 4 centers of excellence. This is the university in the whole world having an established center for agriculture informatics and e-governance research studies, and which gives a MTech program in agricultural informatics to train BS agriculture graduates and engineering graduates and other people in the rural area, and MBA in agribusiness management, PG diploma, and Center for Industry 4.0 technology studies and application to train SMEs in Industry 4.0, and also informatics and e-governance. So I will be very happy that it is very nice to both of you. And I think I would like to have your perceptions with respect to how you would like to have an industry academia linkage. Over to Mr. Abhilash and to the madam.
I think it's already underway, Professor, because the number of initiatives that we are seeing from various governmental and non-governmental organizations in the last 2 years. I'm in, for example, the Agri Udan program. I think they have really energized the whole agri startup space. I think this is definitely a step in the right direction. I think with more such programs where support and linkage opportunities are provided for agri startups to work with organizations to partake of the deep expertise and knowledge that has been built over several years, if not decades. Because I'm not an agri graduate, right? But I'm in the startup space, and I'm sure there are a lot of people like me who are not necessarily from an agri background, but are working in this space, right? So I think you really thrown your doors open for agri startups to collaborate. I think this can definitely be a step in the right direction. Professor, you're on mute. Professor, you're on mute.
Thank you very
Professor, you put yourself on mute again, so we can't hear you.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, now you're audible, Professor.
Okay. And see, many startups, are also participating in this program. We invite them, and since these startups are all now taking up problems along with the technology adoption to go to the farmer. It is skill and entrepreneurship development and also outreach programs are very important. And for example, this is the 31st program. The first one was inaugurated. Dr. Ashok Dalwai is the Secretary to Government of India, Chairman of the Farmers Income Committee, and he inaugurated the program. The first one was that role of agricultural cooperative societies and e-governance system. We brought, the regional director of International Cooperative Alliance, for Asia Pacific region, located in Delhi, and also the Director General, the Secretary General of African Asian Rural Development Organization, and also Fisheries Cooperative Managing Director, Chief Executive of National Cooperative Union of India. And in this one, and the Honorable Chancellor chaired the session, and they brought it out that how in Korea and Japan, the cooperative societies are working with the farmers and bringing income revolution for the farmers. And they don't go through the various other middlemen. Is agriculture cooperative societies and urban consumers cooperative societies. They work together, and this is how that they make income revolution. So starting with that, today is the 31st edition. We are very happy that AgriFin is an important thing, agricultural financing, to facilitate the farmers, and we'll be very happy that many startups are joining with the university to take the value chain project to work with the farmers for developing pilots. So we'll be very happy to receive a proposal from your startups to work on, work with the 2,000 farmers or 5,000 farmers through a farmer produce organization to work on this AgriFin model in maybe different parts of the country. There are a lot of stakeholders who are working with the university, and we can see that I myself was the honorary chairman for a farmers organization in Tamilnadu, which was having about 6 lakhs farmers. Only 2 months back, only because of various other heavy workload, I told him after being there as a honorary chairman for about 6 years, I relinquished it, but I still work with them in different capacity. And this is an important thing. And young entrepreneurial startups is if you can also work along with the university, we can do wonders. And with this, I would like to thank both of you for your innovative and insight, very educative address in this particular area. But I would like to look forward receiving an appropriate proposals from both of you to establish such projects through university and work through the farmer produce organization in different parts of the country. So with this, I thank both of you, and I thank all the participants who are participating in this program. And for more research inquiries, please contact Professor Moni Madaswamy, Professor Emeritus and Chairman, and former Director General, National Informatics Center, Government of India. My email ID is moni@shobhit.ac.in. Thank you very much for your participation. And with this, we close the webinar. and leave webinar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.